Welcome back, everybody, to the World Championship Series. It's time to enter Group C. We've crossed the halfway line for the day here in Day 3, Thursday the 10th of September, getting closer and closer to finding out the 8 players which will play in the playoffs this coming weekend. Joining me on the desk this time is In Control and Nathanius. Welcome to the desk for the first time today and the second time overall. You haven't been here very often.
No, I've just been having a much more fun time just making my predictions, watching the games, and enjoying my victory.
You have been doing very well.
What?
Yeah.
More fun than the desk?
Beating you guys is pretty fun, so.
This is the only thing you'll ever beat as Nathanius. But welcome to the desk. This is an interesting group, so let's take a look at the bracket if you're just tuning in. Group C developed in a very weird way because you'd expect the first place player to be... It could have been Pulp, but the more interesting turn of events was a Laser versus Hydra that started the very beginning of Group C, as a Laser took down the Season 2 champion, finding himself in the winner match against the Season 1 champion. Unfortunately couldn't do the double, but that leaves us with the first match as the elimination game, Hydra versus viOLet. Both coming into this thought they'd go much further than the round of 16, but one of them will be eliminated, Nathanius.
Yeah, it's a very interesting turn of events, to say the least. I came into this with Hydra being my favorite for the entire season finals of Season 3, period. But a Laser really shaking things up, and I don't think people were expecting that we're guaranteed one of the Korean players to be eliminated at the start of this day. Yeah,
the very first Korean will be eliminated in the round of 16. There will be another one in Group D. Sad to see one of them go, but, I mean, this is how it works, Jeff.
We are winding down in Season 3, and it's time to start trimming. It's not even fair to call it the fat. This is like that little bit of lean tissue just outside your six-pack I've heard so much about, you know what I mean? just on the outside of it. I myself sport more of kind of a 1-pack, sometimes a 2, and I suck it in, so I don't know about it as well. But Nathanius' predictions are anything to go by. It's going to be some pretty cutthroat stuff.
Yeah, this is going to be a great series. I'm really looking forward to this because Hydra joins us for the second time in the round of 16, and he didn't really want to be here. We can take a close look at Hydra as he's now set up on stage. Hydra shouldn't be in the elimination game in the round of 16.
Yeah, he's facing a formidable opponent in viOLet as well, and that's not what he was thinking. He's good to go. We'll see this guy at BlizzCon. I mean, it would be some really... I don't even know if it's mathematically possible, but it's going to be... we're going to see him, guys, okay?
Yeah.
So what he's playing for is, hey, I need to be in the best shape of my life and be the most confident I can. November is just around the corner, and he should not be losing to some young man from Poland, as far as he's concerned. But that's the reality we're in. So now he faces viOLet to see who gets out of this group.
Season 1, second place. Season 2, first place. Season 3, round of 16 doesn't make sense to me, Nathanius.
No, it's really crazy when you think about it because he's also going up against someone who's very volatile in terms of build orders. viOLet is a very hard player to predict, and Hydra, you just look at him, just the way that he's played, he's dismantled everyone. He's not known for gimmicks. He's just clean cut, good StarCraft. His
games against the Laser have got to be, as we say in England, to kick up the backside for him coming into this one.
I don't
know.
I don't even know what that means. Kick up the backside?
Yes.
Without a doubt, it's a reality check that if he wants to get out of this, he's going to have to take the lesser favorite opponent more seriously.
You belong at this desk. You're doing a great job.
Thanks.
He's got a better English accent than I do.
Do you?
Okay, so as we talk about his opponent, you have to do this next little half in the English accent.
Right.
So from now on, you are no longer allowed to be American, Nathanius. Let's take a look at his opponent now, viOLet, who is mean, and this guy is very good in Zerg versus Zerg, Nathanius.
Yeah, I mean, he's absolutely great. If there's one thing that viOLet's really good at, is choosing his build orders, you know. You see him go up against the likes of players like Polton really bring out the heavy aggressive type strategies. But in ZvZ, that's where things get complicated because that's where we saw Hydra fall yesterday.
Yeah, run then quite well there, I thought, mate. I can't even. I've been talking too much Australian lately. I can't even do it. But like, all right, all seriousness, it's also a weird spot for viOLet. I mean, he faced Polt. It's a lot more understandable to lose to Polt. But I think viOLet came into this pretty confident as well. We saw him do really well at MSI in Seattle just a couple of weekends ago. And all of a sudden he's like, wait a second, Hydra, what in the hell are you doing down here? I was supposed to be playing a Laser and then maybe having to face off against somebody else a little bit more difficult down the road. But In this case, it's actually going to be a fight to the death in a brutal ZvZ. This is the end of most tournaments for Pete's sakes. It's the round of 16 WCS.
Yeah, both of them have had overnight to think about each other and practice today as well to prepare for this. And I think we're going to see some very tailored strategies coming out from both sides, right? They've had the good 24-hour notice. They've had the 8 hours sleep where you dream about what you're going to do against your opponent. And this is where it needs to be seen.
Yeah, I'd imagine that the biggest thing here for viOLet is that he's got the most to gain out of winning this series. You're looking at the strongest player in my opinion, the entire tournament. If you beat Hydra, it's like everyone else is going to be easier to play against, period.
Yeah, this is an awesome series. Looking forward to this one. Let's take a quick look at the map vetoes. The players have now checked in with where they want to take this best
Moonlight
of
Madness,
3.
do it!
Coda.
Do it!
Coda's in there. Terraform and Bridgehead. Bridgehead, not a map we've seen too much of, but it's in this best of 3.
Back rocks. I mean, that's the thing we talk about. Is it's kind of funny. We saw it really strike at Holt, a guy who is one of the absolute best in this whole tournament. It's just something that can fall out the wayside in a tournament where you're so tunnel vision on your opponent, and maybe some other aspects that'll slide in there. Otherwise, Terraform, you know, we've talked about this up to wazoo. There is a gold base, and viOLet is kind of a crazy guy.
Yep.
And then Coda, the tried and true, a 1v1 map, straight up the map. What we have been seeing some 10-pool Baneling stuff going on there.
Yeah.
It's a little bit weird.
Obviously, we're not going to be looking at which maps favor which side. Obviously, in a mirror matchup, you don't have to do the Englishing if you don't want to anymore.
Please
but,
don't.
Who do you think's going to be coming out the aggressor? Because usually in ZvZ, you can, obviously have one side being the ultra aggressor, the 10-pool Baneling type of player. Which one would you think it would be if we were to see it at all?
I have to imagine it'll be viOLet bringing out some sort of crazy strategy. I don't see Hydra as the kind of guy to go for like the +1 Evo Roach Rush without Lair, but viOLet's the kind of guy to do a lot of different crazy strategies like that.
I think viOLet's the build order aggressor. Hydra just stylistically is a pretty aggressive guy himself. Like, we'll see a lot of, I mean, it's ZvZ, so you're going to see a lot of aggression no matter what, but just keep your eye out for Hydra. He's not the guy to sit back and just let the other guy make mistakes. He'll be in your face.
Okay, before we look at the predictions for this game, let's just briefly check in with the predictions overall from the commentators and experts throughout the last couple of days. And this is where we are currently. Nathanius is #1 as he continues to hold this 75% record. And everyone's dropping down, to be honest. Funk is #2 now. And then we've got Pig, 3rd. Me and Rotty, by the looks of it. As Rotty's climbed up now. He's actually climbed back into the contention. But, Jeff, we've got a problem.
Dude, look. I would say my craziest pick was Iagas beating 4GG. Otherwise, I don't even think they're bad picks. This has just been kind of a crazy tournament. Actually, you know what? I'm just gonna come out and say it. I think I'm the most right of all of you guys. It's just there's been so many upsets that you guys are all looking way smarter than me right now.
You're just in the wrong multiverse for this prediction. I'd also like to point out that the top 2 predictors are the only 2 people here in this tournament that are maining Terran, as far as the commentators and observer goes.
Yeah, Funker.
Yeah,
and yourself. Well, congratulations on your first place spot there. Let's check in now in a quick second with the predictions for this match. As I think this is a pretty one-sided match in terms of who thinks what. 7 to Hydra, 1 to viOLet, and it is our Frenchman that's chosen viOLet.
I think that's really cool of Todd, by the way. Like, if you notice, he was actually 2nd to last now that Rotterdam has found his head in StarCraft and is launching up to the top. And Todd, noticing that I'm by myself and I'm drowning in my own wrongness, is like, you know what? Let me try to help you out, man. Like, us Protoss stick together. Kevin abandoned me at the bottom, so now it's Todd. He's got to come down here with me.
Final thoughts on this series, Nate, before we hand it over?
I'm expecting to see Hydra move on. I think he's going to really recover from the mistakes that he made yesterday against the Laser.
All right, thank you very much, gentlemen. It's time to go to the commentary team for this one to see if our Season 2 champion can go another step.
That's right, let's begin the Zerg versus Zerg Fest here as we have our finalist, our champion, of course, from Season 2. We're going to be going up against viOLet, who, for the longest time in StarCraft 2, way back when, was of championship caliber himself. As of late, not had as much success at all here. And going up against Hydra, it is a tall order in this series.
Oh yeah, Hydra has found his form this year. He's the reigning champion. He was the runner-up in Season 1. He is just in hot form. He is looking so good right now. viOLet, on the other hand, he's been having a rough year. He's won so many championships in StarCraft 2, one of the absolute best all-time players, but this year has not been his year just yet. This is his opportunity to regain some of that fame, regain some of that glory.
Let's get into it. Game #1 here in the elimination match of Group C. As we have spawning up to the top left-hand corner, he is the defending WCS champion. Representing Team Roots, it is Hydra. Down to the bottom right-hand corner, we have our red Zerg. Representing Team Envious, it is viOLet.
And what a match we do have. Hydra, the reigning champion, yet the guy who went down to a laser, the young challenger earlier on in the stage. And of course, I think what I find most interesting about both of these players in their recent matches is they've played very conservatively. And they haven't necessarily found the success they were looking for with it. Both of them have really been aiming to just power on up in drones, skip their Zergling speed, and go straight to the roach stage of the game. And I feel like neither of them's really been playing the fast-paced Zerg vs Zerg, which often is the type where you can take those early edges, where you can exert your mechanics and your speed. And I think it hasn't treated either of them well. So what I'm looking for is hopefully at least one of these guys is going to step up and say, I want to get a bit more action going in the early game. I want to have a bit more mobility, maybe a faster third base. Because I think that edge, that sort of aggressive, free, open play, I think that's what's going to give the player the advantage in this series.
Cutting corners or trying to exploit your opponent that's cutting corners. Not the middle ground here in this game, but I suppose if both of them went the middle ground, then it wouldn't matter a whole lot. For now, we do have the gas already been taken here by viOLet.
So it looks like viOLet does want to do one of these less encumbered builds, one of these builds where he's not afraid about the early cheese, even though it's a small map. Going hatch into gas, into spawning pool, that's going to give him a very fast Zergling speed, absolute map control, whilst Hydra sticking to exactly what he did against a laser, going for a very safe pool-first build. So Hydra looking like he still wants to play this very generic style, but I really like the change up from viOLet. I think this is exactly what he needed to do.
And we'll see how that's going to play on out in a moment here. Obviously having so much early gas here than Hydra. Let's see if Hydra wants to play for that full gasless style and try and put himself very well defended at the natural location. At least he sees the first two links moving out, just viOLet. So he will know when to try and deny that scout, when sometimes in Zerg vs Zerg we've seen good defenses at the ramps to try and stop that from being able to spot gases, etc.
Yeah, the advantage Hydra does have is he will be able to deny scouting with his earlier queen. Meanwhile, his Overlord has grabbed a lot of information, but interestingly enough, Hydra's actually pulled back his Overlord here, as Funk is showing us. He didn't check the gas timing in the main, and that means he's not aware of the fact that there is an exceptionally fast Zergling speed. That's a big oversight from Hydra, but hey, the Zerglings are going to get in now, and they are going to see it. It's just going to give him that heads up a little bit later. Of course, he clicks on that gas there, checks the amount mined, and says, oh, you've actually been mining this for a long time. And in the midst of this, a Baneling Nest is going down at the natural, which he'll see as well, and that's very early. His hackles have to be rising right now. He needs to be realizing there's a big chance of aggression out of viOLet. He's going to need to lock down his natural expansion.
And that's why we're seeing that creep tumor head on out here at the front. So no gases, well, there is the one gas, obviously, for Hydra now down and about, but he needs to start building himself that wall, making sure that it is nice and solid. He's already got the spine crawler going down at the front, so he's reacting to exactly what you've mentioned.
Looks like viOLet wants to push back that Overlord. The Lings for Hydra, though, this is so important. He wants to see, are you actually committing to that aggression? And he wants to see what's popping out of the eggs. The Queen's going to try to stop it, but if this Ling can survive a few seconds longer, look at that, evading the drones, and if he can see what pops out of these eggs, there we go. He sees Zerglings on the way. Hydra is ticked off. He knows exactly that there's some sort of aggression coming, and he's going to throw up a wall the moment he sees Lings flood out of viOLet's natural.
Yep, already has one drone on the way to actually start this wall off, and needs a few more here to be able to completely make sure that he is on lockdown. How many queens does he have in total? I think he's only at 3 or so. But at least he's plugging that gap.
Even cancelled an Overlord to make sure he could get the wall down. Hydra is taking no chances this time, but viOLet is going all in. There is a huge swell of Lings coming from behind this, focusing on the Evo chamber. Oh, no cancel, and the Lings are starting to flood in on the bottom. There's not a lot of Zerglings here, but oh, viOLet needs to go through the hole on the south side, but he's not taking advantage of it. The wall is wide open right now. viOLet, though, starting to morph Banelings. The Lings in the main are going to do damage.
Yeah, he retreated his queen from that location to try and help in the wall defense, but of course he did leave that gap open after moving the queens to actually get him in a better spot. That is a lot of Banelings morphing here. in here for viOLet. He is looking for a crushing blow pretty soon.
Oh my god, the wall's still open.
Uh-oh.
This is an incomplete defense from Hydra. Hydra's queens are not in the correct position.
No, Lotling still here as well. How much does he have? He has 6 roaches on the way. He's lost his queens at the front, though. He's trying to buy time here with these Zerglings.
7 roaches are about to pop, though. These roaches are almost there. Hydra just needs to hang on. He's still got 6 more workers. Oh, the Zerglings clumping up. They need to be killing workers right now. They can't waste their time on this wall.
No, not at all. Here come the roaches now to actually try and hold this off. And drones are even going in for the combat there for a moment. Still needs a drone to plug that wall.
Oh my god, viOLet has not built a single drone behind this. He's just making more Banelings, more Zerglings. Hydra sees it all with his overlords. He knows this is coming, and he just has to build a wall, rebuilding the Evo Chamber, pumping roaches. This is so all in for viOLet. He could have droned up and continued and maybe taken an edge, but now he is committed 100%. He needs to break through and win with this wave.
It's a huge gas investment that we have going on here. He's going to try and crash through this wall and do what he can. That roach drone's pretty low. That's a lot of Zerglings to try and bust through here. He'll be able to kill off some of these buildings, but at the same time, the roaches hold on. Look at the wall he created with the roaches to make sure they couldn't get the full wraparound on them.
Mistiming it a little bit did viOLet. He forced the roaches back from that blowed up wall, but the Lings weren't there to capitalize, and instead the roaches had time to plug the gap. Hydra with a perfect defense, and viOLet just being slightly too slow to capitalize on these tiny openings that he's been given.
We expected like gentlemanly agreements and just kind of going into the mid game here, but viOLet really turns on the taps early on. But at the same time, look at this, he's just got another pool of Zerglings just swelling up here at the moment.
Oh, this is very tricky, making it look like he's droned up. Hydra has no scouting information right now. Notice he's starting drones, he's starting a roach speed, a +1 range upgrade. I mean, he's in a fantastic position, don't get me wrong, but he has no idea until right then.
Oh, scary stuff now. How many roaches is he going to have? He's going to go for the wall once again. He knows that if he can try and hold on with that, and obviously he's going to be careful of the Banelings. He needs to make sure his roaches are in a split position where he doesn't allow them to get surrounded, but the Lings get in. They do get the surround. There's Banelings in there as well that actually do big splash damage to them because all the roaches were clumped up. That is so many Zerglings out here for viOLet.
Oh, there's a lot of roaches in production though. viOLet needs to get damage done right now. He needs to overwhelm before more roaches pop out, but it looks like it's just enough. Too little, too late. There's so many roaches coming out.
Yeah, he had a good defensive setup there, and as much as the Banelings did quite a lot of damage, there's still more roaches for days. He's been able to clean things up in the main base. There you go. GG, game number 1 goes to Hydra. So he will be able to fend off that aggressive assault there from viOLet.
And a clean, well, not that clean, but a quick win. Does Hydra take there? I mean, that is exactly the sort of change-up I was looking for. viOLet has played very conservatively in many of his previous games, but finally going for that all-in aggression, and he was so close to breaking Hydra. You can see on viOLet's face there that he's a little bit annoyed. He realized there was a gap in the wall. That should have been my opportunity, but he was just slightly too slow to capitalize on it.
Well, let's see if he can capitalize during game number 2. We're going to go to a short commercial break, and when we are back, it will be that second game here between Hydra and viOLet. Welcome back to the World Championship Series, here for game number 2 in Group C between Hydra and viOLet. And at the moment, Hydra has been able to hold off the torrent of aggression there from viOLet in that first game, and now we move on to Bridgehead here, Pig.
And what a close hold that was. Hydra has to have felt his heart rate rise as that Ling Flood came across the map, but he held firm. He's got to feel a little rush of confidence now going into map 2.
Let's get into it then. Game number 2 on the way here between our two Korean Zergs, looking to propel themselves forwards into the decider match for Group C, as we have spawning to the right-hand side here as our blue Zerg. Representing Team Root, it is Hydra. Then to the west, we have our red Zerg. Representing Team Envious, it is viOLet.
viOLet brought the heat there in game 1. Very happy with how he played that. I really like throwing that build out. It was so close to working. And I want him to keep that mobility going in game 2. I'd love to see a fast Zergling speed out of him again. Interestingly enough, though, it is Bridgehead. This is the map where mass roach wars tend to be a lot really crazy, but something we haven't actually seen in WCS in ZvZ, which is quite common on the ladder. A few of the other tournaments out there is Mutalisks are actually very powerful on this map as well, as the bases are very far spread out. Also, the back rocks as well was something we saw come into play with a laser versus Hydra, where a laser failed an all-in and almost brought it back by doing a sneaky attack through those rocks. So this is a very dynamic map, and it's very focused around the mid-game, very back and forth because there's so many attack avenues.
And that's why we're seeing these go-tos of hatchery first from either player. It's a little bit more difficult to try and punish. I mean, also both of them have now seen the second Overlord from their opponents, which does give them a good presence of mind and good comfort back at home.
For a moment there, it looked like Hydra was actually going to be going for a 14 spawning pool after his 15 hatchery. He was saving onto those lava, looking to do a very safe opening, but upon spotting viOLet's second Overlord coming out, realizing there was no cheese on the way, he did start those drones up. So once again, we see Hydra in that very safe, careful, and defensive mindset, whilst viOLet immediately was planning to just drone after his hatchery, basically saying, it doesn't matter if there's an early pool coming, I'm going to take the risk and get that little bit of economy. So you can see here the mindset. viOLet as the challenger, the player who's not quite on top of his game lately, looking to take those edges early and really bring the fight to Hydra, whilst Hydra is looking to sit back and receive the aggression.
Well, for now, with that, it's going to be very interesting to see if viOLet can really pull himself back in this. Of course, he does know that he's facing off against a player that has been in the finals twice in 2015 of the World Championship Series. Hydra, not a single player even comes close to his results here in the World Championship Series in 2015 specifically. Not even Paul was able to make it to the finals in Season 2 because Hydra eliminated him earlier on. So, yeah, very, very impressive stuff.
Hydra is such a beast. He's such a powerful player, and so many people do fear to play against him as the game progresses. Also a piano player when he was younger, you can see just with the agility he moves across that keyboard. He's such a frightening player to play against, and a lot of players feel this pressure to not let him get into his comfort zone because he is so good once he gets to that middle stage of the game.
Yep, and resilient as well by game 1. As for now, we do have that speed on the way here for viOLet. 4 Lings going to pop. And he will try and maybe deny some of the scouting. Let's see how his queen is positioned. The Ling's are already with it, so let's see what he can do. The thing is, though, is because the spawning pool's so far forwards here for him.
Oh, one Ling does sneak through, very nice, but the queen does finish it off. However, it sees the quick Baneling nest. Once again, another little bit of a tell. However, it doesn't necessarily mean viOLet's going to be aggressive, because what we haven't talked about yet is Hydra on the other side did go for a fast gas. He showed it, but he actually hasn't got Zergling speed started. He's just saving up that gas, planning to go right towards roach-based play. So Hydra showing the gas almost as a fake out, and then just going straight into this Roach Warren. Meanwhile, viOLet going for the Ling Bane, but it's a defensive Ling Bane.
Yeah.
So this Baneling nest is going to serve zero purpose for viOLet. I think Hydra's getting the better end of the build orders so far.
Both players starting those cute walls on this map that you throw down between the minerals, between the gas geyser, and eventually if something was aggressive has been seen by an Overlord, you could throw down evolution chambers between those rocks. But the third base going down here for viOLet, pretty darn fast. Also been spotted here by Hydra, who at the moment, I would anticipate he would just go for his own, but
in a little while. I mean, he doesn't have that Zergling speed out just yet. viOLet here going for a very reflexive build. He still isn't quite aware of exactly what he's going up against. He hasn't scouted in to see the Roach one or anything like this. So taking this third off a relatively low drone count, you know, it's quite conservative. He's got the Baneling Nest, he's got some Zerglings, he's now adding a lair behind this. But I'm not sure viOLet knows what he's playing against. He's adding an Evolution Chamber and a lair, showing he wants to go up to Roaches of his own, but he probably doesn't realize just how quick Hydra's tech is going to be.
Yeah, with that Evolution Chamber eventually going down, it's going to be so far behind what we're seeing here from Hydra with that +1 and speed here for the Roaches. Is he just going to go with this? I mean, it seems like a very, very strong push. I mean, he's got the third on the way, but he could just fall back onto that if he wants to go for it with Roaches.
It's such a strong push. If you do just mass Roaches up while you're waiting for the third to finish, you can push a hard push and you can drone behind that.
Yeah.
And that's fantastic against what viOLet's doing. So to rehash exactly what's happened here, because Hydra has skipped the gas, skipped the Baneling Nest, skipped the Zergling speed, he has a fantastic economy, and he's always been up about 4 or 5 drones until just now when viOLet's overtaken him. So viOLet's upgrades are later, his Roaches are coming out later, but because he has the faster third base and now he has a small drone lead, viOLet just has to hang on against this Roach push. The next few minutes all revolves around Hydra pushing out with his Roaches, trying to inflict some damage and equalize to make up for that slower third base.
Get some good numbers out there, that's for sure. The Lynx have actually just sprung into action though, and they're going straight into this mineral line to have a look around, see what they can find. Want to separate themselves off, and the Roaches are now moving on backwards. Of course, all of those numbers have been spotted there for viOLet, so he should be okay.
Curiously, Hydra playing very defensive. He's cut off his Roach production for the most part, and he's adding a lot of drones. Looks like he basically is saying, I'm not even going to bother committing to that big attack. I'm actually just going to drone, and the simple threat of it, you can see, is already forcing a lot of Roaches out for viOLet. And this has allowed their drone counts to equalize, where Hydra has a small edge overall. And behind this, adding the second Evolution Chamber, starting that +2 upgrade faster. Looks like Hydra's focusing on the big ball of Roach stage.
Yeah.
Several minutes down the track, he's looking to have the faster upgrades, the better economy, and just a bigger Roach push.
And so far, he is leading in almost every single aspect. So it's going to be up to viOLet to probably try and even find contaminations or something like that to try and slow down the progression of his opponent's upgrades, or even just production if he was able to go for hatcheries. But upgrades is definitely a big thing right now. Oh, Tunneling Claws has been started here for Hydra as well, so he's going to look for some counters.
Such a great upgrade on this map. Of course, you've got that back avenue. If he can take the rocks down, he's going to be able to come in from 2 or 3 sides. That's going to be really powerful. viOLet, oh, you know, he's got a lot of Roaches out, but he is behind on these upgrades, and Hydra's going to start marauding around the map, seeing if he can get some damage done. viOLet actually with an impressive supply lead here, but keep in mind, he doesn't have the second Evo chamber. He doesn't have the Tunneling Claws, and Hydra is just playing so conservatively here. I mean, we were talking about it before. He wants to sit back. He can kind of sense that viOLet is uneasy the longer the game goes. Hydra is just getting to his point where he is comfortable, and at that mass Roach point, about a minute from now, he's going to start hitting from all sides with Burrow Roaches, trying to overpower these big frontal battles at the same time.
And that Overseer lurking on the very edge of that Evolution Chamber means that Hydra can slow down his opponent's +2 and make that window even bigger here for Hydra once it comes along. He sees a lot of Roaches down towards the bottom, though. Needs to reposition himself. He does have Creepers an advantage to reposition, though. But those rocks are going to go down very, very fast here.
Oh, I don't know if he's going to be able to get back in time. viOLet darting in here. He's going to be able to kill a few drones. Nice pickups. Maybe set up a good concave. He could even focus that hatchery down. viOLet's going to go for it.
And he does get it, but he needs to get on out of there whilst he's doing this. That's a lot of losses if he does incur some of those Roaches. He's done a big bit of damage there to his opponent's income, but now he's got to fall back.
And catches the counter-attack of Hydra at the same time. Kills most of these Roaches that are trying to dart through his natural. This is a great snipe by viOLet. Really getting some good damage done. But the +2 and +1 is about to finish for Hydra. viOLet's is so far away, and even a Gooper Contaminate right on that upgrade. There's a huge window where Hydra now has the upgrade advantage.
Goopy +2s in this WCS season have been a very, very common occurrence here in ZvZ, and now we're seeing Hydra trying to exploit the army supplies very even technically, and he's not going to allow it to ever occur. He is going to look for the window now. Another contamination on towards that +2 from a second Overseer. This is the opportunity where Hydra has has a big, big window.
viOLet darting across the map. What is it? He's not going to defend. He sees the army on the north side, but Hydra's already in his base. What is viOLet doing? viOLet's going for the base trade. He doesn't want to fight the army when he has inferior upgrades. This is a ballsy yet crazy decision from viOLet. He is so far behind in this base trade. How the hell is he going to make this work?
I don't know. Noticeably, he's already morphed in 4 Overseers because he knows his opponent does have Burrow as well as Tunneling Claws. Actually, he didn't have Burrow. It's about to finish up soon. But that's very, very important because if it gets into this weird situation, he's actually going to slow down Burrow. That's a fantastic move. Tunneling Claws is finished, but Burrow's not going to be done. Kills off the Roach Warren here, does Hydra, and this is an all-out brawl now.
Oh, this is absolute madness, but Hydra getting on top of all of his bases and shutting them down so quickly. He's already on top of the last expansion, killing all of the drones of viOLet. Meanwhile, viOLet's doing the same. Look at that workers kill tab. viOLet needs to shut down these last workers.
Yeah.
If this goes full base trade, you cannot let drones escape to build buildings on the map.
No, not at all. One of them, I think, has separated itself off up towards the top left-hand corner. In fact, 2. So that is very, very useful. Catches some of these roaches, though. Very, very nice stuff. And it's 62 roaches against 63. But importantly, still, I think the upgrades are way in advantage here of Hydra.
Right now, these are the last 5 drones on the south side of the map, and Hydra's about to catch them. These are viOLet's last 4 drones. He needs to protect them. This hatchery does go down. No cancel there. viOLet throwing down another extractor, but they're just going to take the front on fight.
Yeah, and there's a lot of roaches at the back here for viOLet. Not really doing anything. Dancing, and still the upgrade advantage is in favor of Hydra here. He is looking to take this 2-0. This is a big, big advantage he has with his roaches. 66 armor supply against 34, and viOLet is going to plummet down here. He has nothing left to be able to deal with these roaches.
Oh, what a beautiful fight for Hydra. He's still got that +2 attack and that +1 carapace. viOLet needed to keep running around and play the base trade, but he thought he had the numbers in that fight. He just didn't quite have it. Now Hydra with absolute map dominance, and viOLet's only got those 3 roaches on the north side of the map. That is the last chance he has, but with a drone out on the map.
There you go. GG. Hydra is able to take the series 2-0, and that is him moving on to the deciders match here to figure out exactly who is going to be getting the opportunity to move on to the round of 8. But for Hydra, this is an important moment, an important step, obviously, here to try and get himself into the position he's supposed to be in here in WCS.
Absolutely. I mean, Hydra had that upset earlier on today, earlier on in the group, where he did drop down to a laser bit here, regaining some of that confidence, showing such patient, calm play. At all moments he was scouting, and viOLet there, he played well. He was so close in that first game, but unfortunately couldn't make it happen against Hydra.
Well, that means now we can head over to the analysis desk to see what the boys think about the matches here in Group C.
Thank you very much, Kalaris. And as a lot of people expected to happen, viOLet gets pushed aside here by Hydra. A dominant performance, Nathanius.
Yeah, I mean, Hydra he showed up, he played a straight-up solid game, and we saw the aggressive build come out of viOLet, and Hydra promptly smack it down. And
I mean, there's not too much to look at in this series, but one thing that you have to talk about is that Eliza, who has already beaten Hydra, you know, obviously going to be watching this, just is going to be like, oh boy.
You know, yeah, and I don't think, I don't know that he necessarily has that feeling renewed after seeing that. I think he knew it. I don't think he faced a weakened Hydra. He just kind of stressed him out and threw him off, and I liked his attitude too when we were talking to him about it. He was like, yeah, I expected to beat everybody else, not Hydra. So he kind of went in a little bit like Batman, fearless of death, and came out ahead for it. So hopefully he has the same attitude.
All right, so where did viOLet go wrong today? Did he go wrong? Was it just a superior opponent that he ran into?
He had to play versus Hydra.
Yeah.
Like, whether he makes mistakes or plays perfectly, on a good day, Hydra, you know, I think most people would say should be able to beat him just based off his results this year.
All right, well, thank you very much, gentlemen. Second with the bracket, we are halfway through Group C, which leaves us with 1 game left. Already mentioned it briefly, Laser now fights, like Mana did earlier today, to play in front of the Polish crowd this coming weekend. If he does it, he eliminates the Season 2 champion. This is a huge, huge deal for the young Polishman now, as he, I don't know if you can hear that clapping as the player makes his way to the stage. And this is a big deal. This is a massive moment for him, Jeff.
It is. It's kind of it's scary, actually, because he has already done this. But that's like, to do it once is kind of a big deal. To do it twice would be amazing, absolutely amazing. And we've seen this WCS before. I said it day one. I was like, I'll tell you what I'm kind of worried about.
Yep.
Him beating Hydra here, and then unremarkably losing to Pult, and then Hydra swimming back upstream and coming after him.
And that's what seems to be happening here. But can Laser put a stop to the Season 2 champion? It's going to be a difficult one. We'll go to it after the break.